Alex and I have been working on this for a few weeks now, and we finally have a name for our final segment we give to every one of our guests. It's officially called 3 Up, 3 Down. Thank you to Cameron Kohler and Anthony Dianatali for that name. But we're going to ask 3 questions each to you in alternating order. So Alex is going to go first. I'm going to go next. It's not really rapid fire. Take as much time as you need, deliberate, come up with your answers, whatever you need to do. So Alex, without further ado, please start us off with question number 1.
All right, so this is where I find myself getting in trouble with these questions that Vinnie says are terrible questions, to quote. So first one for you. I don't think you've ever hosted that many podcasts, right? I don't think. Do you host a podcast right now?
When my book came out with Cone, Yes had us do a 5-part series about the book called Full Count, the podcast, which was very generous of them because it gave us a lot of publicity toward the book. So I did host a podcast with David for that. Other than that, I've hosted a couple of shows at Yes, and I did a web show called JCTV, which was kind of an interview show. It wasn't a podcast, but I mean, you're asking people questions, but a podcast, not necessarily, just that one instance with Coney.
Yeah. So Alex, in your quest to become the next Jack Curry, you have one on him. So congratulations to you, Alex.
He's hosted about 100.
Yeah. What do you prefer drinking out of, plastic or glass?
Glass. It just feels more. It feels sturdier. I mean, my wife's got a bunch of styrofoam and plastic cups around the house, but yeah, I'll probably go glass. Right now, I don't know. This mug is probably ceramic or something like that. I looked for my Yogi Berra mug, and it must be in the dishwasher because I wanted to have a baseball theme. Instead, I got a flower.
Second one, who would be a current player on the Yankees roster right now that if you had the choice to hire them to become a Yes Network broadcaster, who would you choose?
Wow. Now you're really putting me on the spot. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a little end around here so I don't offend anybody who's on the current roster. I'm going to tell you that when he was on the Yankees, I had multiple conversations with Austin Romine in which I told him, you will be a great announcer when your baseball career is done, if you want to do it. Because as someone who, as I mentioned earlier, is in the studio often, I would go to Austin Romine. Now I'm giving up one of my secrets here. I would try to go to the ballpark at least once a homestand because it just made me better at my pregame and postgame job. I would go to Austin Romine and I would just go down the list of pitchers. What's Tanaka doing well right now? How come Chad Green's fastball seems a little short? What have you seen out of Chapman right now? I think he's using his slider more. And in 5 minutes, Romine had covered me for the week because then when Tanaka throws his splitter and I'm on the post game talking about it, I say before the game or 2 days ago, Austin Romine told me that Masahiro Tanaka's split finger fastball belongs in a video game. That's how much it moves. So I would say that Austin Romine could have a future doing this. Not every player wants to do it. Not every player wants to share. You don't have to be critical, I think, to become an announcer. I think that's where there's a little bit of a misnomer, but you have to be honest. That's the thing. And if honesty ever bleeds into where a player thinks it's criticism, some players don't want to do that. Coney gave me a great answer one time about becoming an announcer. And when he first did it, he was so worried about being critical. But then he realized, I have to be honest. I can't sit up here and watch a pitcher throw back-to-back sliders, one cement mixer after the other, and then say, yeah, that was good pitching. No, that wasn't. You just had one tumble out of your hand that you got lucky that you fouled it back. Why are you throwing that pitch again? So I kind of veered off into a rambling answer there, but that's my answer.
So you've been around a lot of people in your life. Your job has surrounded you with just a great number of people. Who is the greatest leader, manager, player, whatever? Who's the greatest leader that you've ever seen?
Based on the amount of time where I covered the Yankees and when I walked into this man's life and saw him operate the way that he did, it would be Joe Torre. He gets to the Yankees in 1996 with a losing record as a manager, having been fired from 3 previous places, but he was the right manager at the right time. He had a soothing way about him, but his players respected him so greatly that I feel as if that combination just worked. Now, I love Buck Showalter, who had preceded Joe, and I think Buck Showalter is a terrific X's and O's manager and is as smart as any baseball person I've ever seen. But you asked in terms of leader and being a leader. I think it was Joe Torre, and I think the results speak for themselves for those 4 World Series in 5 years. Those Yankee players respected him. They played for him. And Joe managed from the gut, and he had Don Zimmer next to him, kind of pushing him a little bit to gamble a little more than maybe Joe always did. So he would be the one that would come to mind.
Number 3, and the last one for me for this new segment. You've done a lot of interviews on different radio stations, TV shows, podcasts. What is one question you've never been asked before that you've always wanted to have been asked?
Ooh. I don't know how anyone would know this, so I can't fault anyone for never asking this. My mom was incredibly influential in my life. Unfortunately, she passed away in 1994. If there was any way anyone would have ever asked me a question about my mother and her influence on me, that would have made me feel great. That would have allowed me to talk about her, which anytime I get the opportunity to do that brightens my day. So I'm not faulting any interviewer for having never asked that. How would they know? And other people, sometimes when someone has lost a loved one, they don't like going down that road. It's difficult for them to. But for me, it's enjoyable because I want people to know the influence my mother had in my life. I want to know that I've adopted her work ethic. I've treated people the way I saw her treat people. And that would be something that would have always been interesting for me to be able to talk about. So thank you, Alex. I took the opportunity to do it anyway.
Alex, I just want to let you know that the next time we bring Jack on, I have dibs on asking that question.
Yes, please do, Vinny. Please do. And by the way, well, I'll let you ask you a question, and then I want to ask you a question.
Okay. What is the most important position in baseball?
Oh, it's the pitcher. Of course it's the pitcher. And if you have anybody on your show who says anything differently, that they're not baseball fans. And I understand the catcher, John Flaherty, who I work with on the pre and post, is the catcher puts the fingers down and he helps to guide the pitcher. But I mean, the pitcher has the baseball. Nothing starts until the pitcher decides to throw and decides what he's going to throw. What do you think, Vinny?
So wrong answer. Not only do we have somebody on the show that doesn't think that, he's on it every day, and it's me. So that's tough.
What do you think?
First base, every day of the week. Best position, the coolest position, the most important. It's not even really a question to me. I just know the answer. My goal really of this podcast is just to build the first base brand. That's all I'm really.
I appreciate that. I respect your. I respect how passionate you are about an argument that's going to be proven false. But I respect you for that.